Make a video about how to duplicate somebody else's model, and I wanted it to be a little bit of a challenge, and trust me, it has been a challenge. So this is a wheel. There's a wheel he calls mock-up only, and I believe I know why. I think this is just meant to be an appearance model, but I'm going to use it anyway because it helps highlight a few points. So one thing I've learned is never assume that anything is normal or regular or symmetric even sometimes, which can be really awful. I've had models that aren't modeled flat on the bottom and you have to adjust them. So this one's obviously at an angle. You hope that it's at a nice angle. I happen to know it's at a 60-degree angle. That's just dumb luck, I think. Sometimes it'll be at angles that make no sense. But anyway, so I'm going to flatten this out. It'll make our job a lot easier. So here's the wheel. Again, this sort of pattern is what's going to make it a little bit tricky. And there's a couple other things about this particular one that I noticed, but we'll take care of those. So first off, I am going to turn off do not capture design history, because I have trouble with this sort of thing if I don't. I'm also going to turn on the origin. Okay, so there's some really cool tools. So mesh bodies, see, these are triangles. There are ways to adjust these, and here you can see there's thousands of them, right? With a mesh, what you really can edit are the faces, the edges, and the vertices. That's really all you can manipulate. And there's a whole nother mesh set of tools that lets you mess with those, which I do not know very well. But what we actually want is what's called a solid. I don't fully understand all the differences, but I just know the end result. So under solid, you can say create mesh section sketch. So what this is actually doing is going to create a cross-section sketch for us. So I selected the mesh body, and it's saying select a plane. I'm going to select this plane here. And I'm going to say, okay, now I want to show you one thing. This doesn't look quite right. And I think it's because this is just an appearance model. And I think that, in fact, it's sort of got a flaw in it. We're just going to kind of work around that for now. But I'll show you another way to view this stuff. This is really nice. If you ever have a model that has problems, you can say inspect and say do a sectional analysis. And it says select a face. I think you can select faces on a solid model, or you can select a plane. And so this is kind of like an engineering cross-section. So you can actually see over here in this cross-section that this piece actually overlaps this piece, which actually in the real world makes no sense. It's like they're two different models just stuck together for convenience, which is probably what they are. So you can say, okay. Now, this drove me nuts for a long time. How do you get rid of this thing? Well, it's created this analysis folder, section, or whatever. You can just hide it. You can hide the whole group or whatever. Or you could probably even delete it. Yeah. Okay, so back to what we have here. So we created this this sketch using the create mesh section sketch. And so I'm actually going to hide the body. So this is not a regular sketch. This is a special thing called a mesh section, but we can turn it into a regular sketch. So we're going to start off with kind of the easy part. And so, I kind of screwed up, but that's okay. That'll help highlight the point. The rotation of the wheel actually could make a difference in what it actually catches. So if you rotate it just right, you won't actually catch the studs, I guess is what those are supposed to be, or those are really the lug nuts. But we're going to just ignore that for now. So we can edit this sketch, and there's actually some tools. We can go to this, again, the same menu. And there's a thing called Fit Curves to Mesh section. We're going to do the rim first. So one thing, before I do that, I hit escape, by the way. I'm going to draw a line, which is the L key. And I'm going to draw a line right in the middle. And I'm going to do this so that we have some symmetry. And escape gets you out of the tool. So let's go back here and say edit. We're already in edit mode. Create fit curves to mesh. Now, one thing about these is there's some tools over here. There's actually a closed spline, which we'll use later on. But one thing, you need to do these in clockwise fashion, I've learned. So we're going to start off with this line tool. And what I'm going to do, the rim is all straight lines except for this one curve. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to find the end of that curve. And I think that's it there. I'm going to click, and here I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to click there. I'm going to click there. And you got to try to make sure you get all the way to the corner. It's just kind of a feel thing. You kind of can follow the line once you're on it. Like there, it was easy to find. Up here, I don't know why it was picking multiple points. And then there, and we're going to go all the way up to here. Whoops, see, I was a little bit off there. So I want to get all the way in the corner. Now here, there's a little straight line section right there. So that's all my straight lines. And I want to switch to an arc. An arc is a portion of a circle. And we're going to click that. Now, it turned blue. That means I got it all. So we're going to hit OK over here. And we actually are going to say Finish Sketch. We are done with that part. Now, we can click on this and click this Revolve and click our line or even the axis, and boom, now we have our rim. So that's oh, that's it, okay. And now we have a, what I would call a first class body, call this rim. Okay, now we're going to hide that because we don't really need it. Now we're going to go back to our mesh section, and the next thing we're going to do actually is the hub, and we're going to need another part of this later on. And so this is where our model may not be perfect. We just have to decide how we want to compromise. And so what I think I'm going to do is let's start by doing this. Let me think how I want to do this. Okay. Let's say we're going to turn back on. We already have what we need. We're going to edit sketch again. And we're going to go back to the same fit curves to mesh section. And we're going to do something a little bit different here. We're going to click on the line tool. And I'm actually going to start here for a reason. We're going to go there to there to there. This one's being kind of finicky. To there, down here, there, and we're going to go to here, and I'm actually going to go across to here, and then we're going to go back to our starting point. Now that doesn't completely make sense, but there's a reason what we're going to do here. So I want to go ahead and I want to hit, now this is a regular old sketch now, so I'll turn this off for a second. So now I'm going to hit line. So this is telling us where the middle is. Not only is it the middle, but it's on our center line, so we know we're kind of good. So I'm going to draw a line from there to there. And then I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to hit T for trim. Trim is great. It's sort of just a tool that just sort of makes sense. It's trimming from where you are to the kind of the nearest intersection. So it's a great way to get rid of extra lines. You can also use delete. But the problem with delete is it deletes the original line. Trim will actually cut it in half and then trim part of it. Okay, so at this point, we have part of our hub. So if we rotated this, we would have it. So the next part is we have to kind of decide, we're gonna want to model this curve. You know, we have to decide, is that little piece right there a curve or is that a straight line? For the sake of this, we're going to assume that dude is a straight line. And so what I'm actually going to do now is I'm just going to use the regular drawing tools. I'm going to say line, and then I want to pick a point on this if I can, because we can actually line, and then you look at that, and that's almost certainly a little tiny bit of a curve, but again, we can't be perfect here. It's just too hard. There may be a way to be perfect, but it's just a little bit too much for me right now. So we could be using the fit curve tools, but at this point, I just think it's just a little bit easier to do it this way. And then I'm actually going to draw a straight line there and come over here and down here. Okay. So what I do? Let me turn off this. I must be missing. Oh, I didn't get that last line, I don't think. From there to there. There we go. Now, let me turn this back on. So let's fix this curve here at least. Again, we're going to assume this is an arc, which is a portion of a circle. And we're going to do, create arc. 3-point arc. 3-point arc, you set the 2 endpoints, and then you set a point in the middle. So, not exactly perfect, but you know what? It's close enough for us. So, and then, we can actually, in this case, we can actually hit D for delete. It'll delete that. So now, we can hit on this line here, we can say delete and delete that. So now we can click on this. We can go back to our revolve, and we can, we've got the profile selected. We're going to select this axis, and now we have the revolve for the centerpiece. And we're just going to call, and it's, again, from the bottom, it has the whole, and it's a, let me hit OK. It's a, turn off this. It's a first class object now. We can extrude this, for example. Or we can even extrude this and basically punch a hole through it. So now, see, there's got a hole through it. I'll hit escape. Or we could change these edges. Right? I hit Q, by the way, which is a push-pull, I believe. So there's a lot of stuff now because this is just a regular old editable object. I don't know if I messed up there or not, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, so now we have our body and we have our rim. So now there's one more thing we want to do with this sketch. Okay, and this is the part that's a little bit tricky, and I've been having some trouble, but I think I finally got it figured out. We're trying to model this art right through here because it actually defines that the curve in that center shape. So these spokes are not flat on top or on the bottom. Okay, and again, trying to be as accurate as possible. So hopefully I can do this right this time. We are going to start off. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off this sketch, and I'm going to go back to my mesh body, and I'm going to create a different mesh section sketch. So we've chosen our mesh body. We've chosen our mesh body, and our plane. We're going to choose this plane again. Oh yeah, I was going to show you. See, if I had chosen this plane, then you don't have the lug nuts, and maybe I should have done that, but I'm going to stick with what I did, and we're going to pick this plane. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hide the body. And what we're going to do, we're going to kind of use both styles to do this. So this took me a few tries to get right. Let's hope I can actually do this. We are going to, first of all, say create. Oh, we already did that. We're going to say right-click, edit sketch. OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say fit curves to mesh section. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line tool because we do have some nice lines. I'm going to pick there and there. Okay. And then I want to pick this here, and then this guy here, and then this guy here. And, remember our hub actually kind of begins actually a little bit out from here even. But I'm going to pick this spot here, and this guy here, and this guy here, and this guy here. Okay, so now we have these straight lines, which we don't actually want straight lines. But there's a reason I did this. So clearly the straight line is below our curve, and same thing down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch to the arc tool. And what I've decided from doing this about 8 times is that there's a changing radius here, but it's not a perfect arc, but it's close enough for this. So I'm going to, by creating those straight lines, I actually now have some reference points. So I'm going to click there. Whoa, I'm on the wrong one. What did I do? Oh, shoot. Well, I think it is. All right, let me quickly, I don't know what I did. Finish sketch. Okay, I'm going to have to redo what I just did. So create, fit mesh sections. We're going to go line tool, click there. Boom, 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 boom. So we get right in that corner. Boom, there, there, there. And this should turn blue. Okay, we have a complete set. And then I'm going to switch to the arc tool, I should say, and I'm going to click. So it still has me there. You know, I'm going to say OK here. Now I'm going to go back and say fit curves to mesh section. Hit the arc tool. And so I'm going to put it right here. Now, over on the left, and I can't really drag over there, but just it looks like it's pretty well on the orange line, which is what we want. So I'm going to click there. So now we have an arc. I'm going to make another arc from here to here. And again, it's hard to see, and it's because it's really kind of right. In fact, I can turn off you can kind of see it there. So what I can do here now is I'm going to say OK over here, and I can go in now, and I can click on these straight lines. Whoa. And sometimes they're hard to see, but that's the straight line. I'm going to hit delete. And I'm going to click on this straight line. I'm going to hit delete. And then there's one more right here. I'm going to hit delete. So now I have this curved profile that I've been looking for. So let me turn back on the mesh section. Again, go back to fit curves to mesh, click on the arc, and this one may give me fits. I'm going to click there and there. And again, that looks pretty good on the orange on the far left. Okay, and I'm going to click there. And then over here, again, I got to get all the way in the corner. Then I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to grab these straight lines and hit delete and delete. Okay. So kind of crazy, but it kind of worked. And so if we turn this off, we kind of have this nice arc. It has a little bit of a radius change right in here. Again, my best guess is that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to hit finish sketch. Actually, and turn off that. And so let's go ahead and do this though. We're going to edit this sketch. I'm going to draw a reference line here from the origin. Make sure it's at 90 degrees. And then I'm going to draw. I'm actually going to draw a line from here to here and here to here. You know what? I actually don't need to do that. Let's not do that. Let's say finish. So I can hit this. I can say revolve. We're going to revolve around this center section and hit OK. So now what we basically have is a disc that's got the right curvature for what we want. So what do we call this guy? This is the center. And I'm just going to call this disc pattern. Okay. We're going to turn off those. We're going to turn off all of these. All right, so we got to do this one more time. But we're going to do something a little different this time. So we're going to say create mesh section from sketch. And this time, that's the mesh body, the plane. We're actually going to do this plane, the horizontal plane. And we're going to move this up. Okay, and then if we look at it from the top, what we're trying to do, now in fact, we can hide this. And as we move this guy up and down, And I went too far. Okay, there we go. So we're going to try to intersect this pattern. So I don't really want the lug nut, so I'm going to stop right there. And what's really nice is if you look at this, it's actually not changing really. What that's telling me is that there's no angle to the edges of this center section. So we are going to just go with that, and we're going to say, okay. All right, so now it's working over here. So this is causing it to work a little bit harder, but now we're cooking, right? Okay, so by the way, if you notice, so this circle here is the outer rim, and this is the inner rim, and there's actually a little bit of a gap, but that's fine because we're not really worried about that. So again, we're going to edit our sketch, and this is where another neat tool comes into play. So edit sketch, and we are going to do fit curves to mesh section. Now, if I was worried about symmetry, I would actually do this differently. I would actually only grab 2 of these and then duplicate them 6 times. But I know from experience on this particular model that there is some symmetry here. So we're going to do this. We're going to first over here grab this fit curve type. We're going to click circle, and we're going to click this inner circle. And so boom, now we've got the circle around there. The rim we don't care about in this case. And then there's an ellipse. There's also a closed spline. And so this is just awesome. I can click on that, click on that, click on that, click on that, click on all of these one at a time. And again, if you were trying to draw this freehand or whatever, you only draw 2 of them and then duplicate them. So I've clicked on all of those. Now I can hide the mesh section, and this is what I ended up with. So now I have a model of those cutouts. So we're going to say finish sketch. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to do a symmetric extrude, and we're going to make this thing kind of big and giant. New body, right? Okay. So now this is the fun part. We're going to, so here's our disc. It's kind of inside there. We are going to click on the body 4. We're going to say, which is our, well, we're going to call this the spokes. So right now our spokes are, really tall. We're going to click on combine. Our target body, that's the one that we're actually going to keep and change, are the spokes. Our tool body is the disc pattern, right, which is that piece. And we are going to do an intersect. And then we're actually going to say keep tools just in case we need it again. Okay, I didn't get it. Select body, disc pattern. And so now it's kind of hard to see, but there's a curve there, right? And we're going to say okay. And then we remember we kept the tool. We have to turn off the tool. So now we have this disc pattern. We can add it to the center, right? And then we can add it to the rim. And we have duplicated this wheel. I didn't do the lug nuts. I think what I would do with those is I might just freehand those with a circle in a hex shape, or I don't know. Maybe you could do the same thing to model those, but I just wasn't really worried about that. But anyway, now we've got a model that we can do a lot with. First of all, it's in 3 pieces. We could change all sorts of things about it. But a lot easier to work with than this mesh body. So I practiced a lot, I learned a lot, and that's how I would go about duplicating a body, especially something that's regularly shaped and mostly symmetrical, like a wheel.